What's up, people? Welcome to the final episode of Dropping Bars for the year 2022. What a year this has been. Well, in Dropping Bars, yes, it's really about 4 months. Because, I started Dropping Bars about 4 months ago, and the response has been tremendous, and I really appreciate every one of you who watched at least 1 minute of one episode over the last 4 months. The feedback has been great. The feedback has been tremendous. To all the guests that has been on, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And today I have a very an exciting episode for you. I've invited for people that I admire a lot, for people that have dropped some major bars in the past to come back on with me for this final episode. So, to just talk about the mindset that we need to have for success in 2023. So I have with me Miss Tahira Simmons, Miss Lorna Charles, and Mr. Kevon Poisa Graham in the house. So, everyone has been on the show before. So, if you're a regular viewer of the show, I'm pretty sure you know each of them. But just for if anybody is watching this Dropping Bars for the first time, I would just ask each one of them to take like 30 seconds to just give me a brief intro into who they are. So I'll start with Tahira.
So my name's Tahira Simmons. I am born and bred in St. Andrews, the daughter of Patrick and Barbara Simmons, a big sister, a friend. I work in youth homelessness, where I am a community housing manager for one of our community housing programs. I currently live in Toronto, in the Toronto area, and I'm really happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Kevon, talk to us.
So Kimron Corion, entrepreneur. I have several businesses in Grenada, especially in the St. Andrews community. And then from a philanthropic side, I have also the Kimron Corion Foundation, which we got really active with in 2022. So looking forward to do more community endeavors, in 2023.
Fantastic. Lorna.
Hi, everyone. And congratulations, Kimron, on dropping bars and making it to the end of 2023. I am Lorna Charles. I am a trained social scientist. I am a new entrepreneur. Just started my business, The Social Mind, a few months ago. And thank you guys for watching that show as well. And I am an educator. And in recent time, I have been an efficiency consultant. So that's who I am in a nutshell.
Awesome. And thank you everyone for introducing yourselves. I think one person forgets something major about themselves, and I think that's Tahira. She's I
heard it and I'm like, oh my God, like what is wrong with me?
I think you forget to mention one important thing. Do you know what I'm going to say?
Well, I feel like the entrepreneurship piece is a big part of who I am. Like I'm an entrepreneur. Like I am serial in that regard for sure.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Here, that's it. That's one of the threads that
Yes.
Even though everyone is different, that ties everyone together. And
Yes,
you're also a
yes.
dog mom. You're also a dog mom.
I'm a dog mom. Kevin is a dog dad.
And Lauderdale is also a dog mom.
Okay then. All right.
So you see. So listen, I don't pick my partner just like that. Just wild. I'm very selective. I know how to bring people together.
All right. I love it.
That have common threads.
Yes. No, I have a tea party business. Where I also do consultancy and just workshops on mental health and wellness, because that is kind of my niche in my 9 to 5. So yes.
Amazing. And Tahira, while you're on the flow, we'll just start with you.
All right.
So tell me, what does success mean to you?
Well, You know what? I really thought about this, because I feel like there is this idea that success looks one way for like the greater community, but for me, I like to think of success as intentional behaviors and actions that a person is engaging in that is aligned with the future that they imagine themselves experiencing. That's success.
Wow. 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 That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I did not expect such a proper response,
Yeah.
like, yeah. That I
Yeah.
feel like that response could be written down somewhere. I have to write that down somewhere and use that in
You have it written
talks.
down.
Yeah, I need to write that down.
I
So,
got you.
Kevon, talk to us. What does success mean to you?
Similar to here, I strongly believe that success is subjective, whereas, people try to paint a picture of, hey, if you haven't done XYZ, you're not successful. It's really subjective. And so for me, it's really simple. Success for me is being able to do the things I love, take care of my family, and then impact the people that I love in a positive way. And once I'm doing that, I'm being successful.
That's dope. That's dope. I feel you on that. Lorna Dill, talk to me.
Well, I mean, Kevin just said exactly what it means to me, but let me expound a little bit. Success for me is working on exactly what I want to do, doing the projects that I want to do, paying attention to the things that I believe that is important to me, both professionally and personally. It's about many things for me, but things like my research. And so while I'm alive, I am grateful for every opportunity that I get to do the things that I want to do. So in the broadest sense, it's just, I guess, living my life intentionally with gratitude and doing every and anything to serve myself and my community in the broadest, again, in the broadest sense. So serving myself for purpose to others. That's what success is to me.
That's amazing. Thank you. And so you see why I brought together this panel, because I mean it's amazing what can come out when you're having this kind of discussion. So thank you all so much for sharing your perspective on success and what success means to you. I know people are going to find a lot of value from it. I think the common thread that came through is that success is not this one defined thing. There is not this like one defined measure of success, like, oh, if you have X amount of money, you're successful, or if you're doing a particular job, you're successful. Successful, like Kevin said, is subjective. And that's the reason why I ask, what does success mean to you? Because success for you might not be success for me, right? Somebody might have like $1 million and that's success for them. And for success for me might be, oh, I just want to be happy, So
Right. So
absolutely.
on that same point, Kimron, right? So that's why I said it's subjective. You can have people that are, very wealthy, yet still they're miserable in their existence.
Miserable.
And you can have a family that, all right, they're, middle class, but they have that family bond. They're doing stuff together. The children are growing up, healthy with the right mindset. They're feeling loved and supported versus somebody that's chasing that money and then they don't have that balance or time for anything else.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And so jumping off that, I really want to touch on our mindset, because I believe that to achieve a certain level of success, whatever success means to you, there is a certain mindset that one needs to have, or maybe not. Maybe you don't need to have any particular mindset, but at least for me, I believe that the having a strong mindset is a critical part of success, and I want to touch on that. Now, I want to ask you guys to share with me. Now, we're about to enter a new year, and let's go back a little bit. Now, when you move from 2021 to 2022, was there any mindset shift for you from 2021 when you entered 2022, and as you're about to enter 2023 in a couple hours? Well, in some countries they're already there, so that's how we know the world is not going to end, right? Because it's already the new year somewhere else. But as you're about to enter 2023, is there any are you going to be doing any kind of like shift in your mindset in order to do something different in 2023, or are you going to just are you going to like continue because you're already on that path? So it's a two-part question. One, was there any mindset shift between 2021 into 2022, and what will you be doing differently, if anything, in 2023 that could help shape your mindset and kind of create create that success trajectory for you. I mean, I guess I can start with the hero again, because I just follow the same pattern I went with earlier.
Sure. Yeah. Well, when I think of 2021, I feel like we were all kind of like still in this pandemic situation, and I literally had pandemic brain, right? So I really, my goal 2021 was to just rest, like literally just try and rest because it was rough. It was so rough. And being in the mental health field and having to navigate sessions like every single working day with people who were struggling. And I was also struggling because we were all in this global pandemic, was very taxing. So for me, it was rest. Like just take it easy. Just take it easy.
Right.
2023 now, I'm coming for everything.
Oh yes.
The mindset is I can even when it's hard.
Yes.
That's the mantra. I can even when it's hard.
I love it. Thank you. Kevin, talk to me.
So I don't want to be hypocritical, because my thing is the calendar year has never affected me. Whenever I feel the need to work on something, I prioritize that with other things that I'm trying to do, and I say to myself, can I really dedicate what I need to do here to make this work? And oftentimes we know what we want to do, but do we have the bandwidth, right? Because we have so many competing priorities. You have family, so you have different things. So my mindset has always been and continues to be, if it's important and I can prioritize it, let me start working on it right now. The one thing that I would say, though, that's really helped me from 2021 until now is just a mindset of learning, right? I'm always trying to learn, whether it be a podcast, whether it be audiobooks, whether I'm reading, whether I'm listening to something, but I'm always trying to learn and become a better person. And I've learned that the more I work on myself and become a better person, the more it benefits me in all aspects of life, right? So I'm better with the way I lead my teams. I'm better with what I do in the community. I'm better on the different projects that I work. I'm seeing more results in my business because the goal is not only about me, because now I understand some of my flaws and the things that I've needed to work on. I can then make a positive impact in so many areas, and then I'm seeing the benefit of that. So the mindset is just one of continuous learning and improvement.
Awesome. Dale, talk to me.
Kevin, I feel like we connected on so many different levels. So for me, there is no fundamental difference in 2021, 2022, or even the upcoming year, 2023. Those particular demarcations or immaterial things in the mind is not in my thinking. As Kevin said, when I need to do something, I do it. I set aside a time and I do it, and I go beast mode. You go hard, right? So for me, 2021, 2022, 23, 25, 35, it does not matter. What I need to do, I get it done, and I do it to the best of my abilities. What I would like to do more of coming 2023, if we're going to put a timeline to it, I suppose make myself more available to others, because I'm sometimes shut in. Like I said, I want to work on the things that I want to do, but kind of go out of my comfort zone a little bit more and serve in a broader sense. So that is what I would probably like to do more of, and of course continue reading more. And as you know, Kimron, I'm a lifelong learner. So if there's anything new that I can do to not just improve myself, but to improve the life of others, I'm available this year coming. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
Kimron, just, to follow up on my point. So that first piece was just about me, but, to anybody that's listening, who is who's a business person or entrepreneur, there are three things I want to touch on that have really helped me, and I'm going to continue to push that in 2023. If you have a business, right, most people focus on the tactical, the day to day, right? Because you're in that business normally because you have a skill set, and so you're utilizing that skill set to further that business. So once you establish that, now you have to think about the strategy. We don't think about the strategy enough, right? So, all right, you're good at what you do, or you get the little business going. What's next? What does the next 6 months, the next 12 months look for you? What happens coming back to 2021 if there's another COVID? Can your business handle that? Do you have a contingency plan, right? So it doesn't have to be fancy, but just take a little time, put a couple slides together, or even in your phone notes app, just put a couple thoughts together about here are some things that I want to do this year to protect my business from a strategic standpoint, right? So that's one. Two, if you have a team and you have people that work for you, are you treating your team members right? You know, are you creating a workplace that you yourself will be comfortable working in, right? So just think about those things, because one of the complaints I hear is, oh, I can't get good people to work for me. Well, I feel that I'm very fortunate to have an amazing team, but I also invest a lot of time and energy into them, right? We do team events, we check in with each other, just make sure everybody's doing good. We're all respectful. So you can help cultivate that culture, but you have to make sure it's something that's at the forefront, because if you're not addressing it, it becomes a big problem later on, right?
Mhm.
And then the third, which most people fail to understand, is that, all right, as small as your business is, what are you doing in your community, right? Because that community supports you. So are you in some way giving back to that community? Are you feeding into the community that's supporting you? And yeah, it's kind of cliche, but the more you give, the more you receive. Like I've seen when I do stuff, it's not to get in the community, but I've seen the outpouring of support of God, because people see like, hey, here are some of the things that you're doing, and it's really genuine, and we really appreciate that. So just be mindful as 2023, your business strategy, making sure you treat your team good, and then what can you do, even as small as it is, what can you do in your community?
The last point you made is so
yeah.
important.
Sorry, I
No,
wanted to
sorry,
piggyback of
go
something
ahead.
that
Go ahead.
Kevon said about that strategy. And, I really feel that when we have a strategy, that we have to write it down. Like that, I cannot stress the importance of writing down your strategy and taking it one step further. And if you have a trusted person who you can share that with, so that they may see some flaws or some things that you haven't considered, to really help you to close whatever gaps are needing to be closed. So yeah, those two things I think are really important in that strategy, because in our heads we create lovely, fantastic things, and then we get on with our day, and then we forget.
But
I
they're here,
always have a
so
pen. I always have a pen and a notebook with me,
I
because
know.
in as much as, yes, you have your phone, everybody has a super phone, but somehow when I write it down on that piece of paper, it feels real, and I feel like I have to be accountable because it's in my writing.
now here's a question though.
I agree
When
with
you
that
when you
100%.
when you share that strategy and you get pushback, are you open to the feedback?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because
Absolutely,
I
You,
know
A
you
lot
have
of
to
a
be.
who
lot
my
of people
people
are not.
I know who my people are, and I know that my people, they want the best for me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah,
happens,
that's
I
golden.
really want
I
that to
receive it
hear.
wholeheartedly. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's
That
golden.
trusted person who you can bounce back those ideas on,
Absolutely.
and that person might be more analytical or critical
Yep.
than you. So they would see those flaws,
Absolutely.
and it's like, how about trying this
Absolutely.
in this way, in that way? So I totally agree
Absolutely.
with that. You
Yes.
must have that trusted person whom you
Yes.
can bounce off ideas.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
sounding board who you
Yes.
can relate
And
to. Yeah,
I am
absolutely.
lucky that I have quite a few. I have a sibling who is also a serial entrepreneur, is doing very well for himself. I sometimes don't like the feedback that he gives. Like inside sometimes I bristle, but I also know that he has
Right.
my best interest at heart. 100%. And I will take it.
Yeah.
I will take it.
No, that's. I mean, that what we just spoke about, that is so important, and I really hope that people are paying attention to it. I want to just piggyback of two things that was said, and the first thing, Kevin, when you mentioned, the community and giving back to the community, so that anything happen, the community will support you. On my upcoming episode of Dropping Bars, which is going to be the first one for the year. My guest actually shared an experience where he said they built an incubator, a co-working space in Haiti, and there was some political unrest, and during that some people entered the space and they burnt it, right? And he thought to himself that was going to be the end of it. Like, he's like, you know what? I guess that's it. But they did so much work in the community that the community said, hey, nah, we're not going to allow this thing to just go away like that. So the community came together and they helped him build it back even bigger and better. So it's such an amazing thing when you actually, give back to the community and build a community around what you're doing. And 2 points that were made, Kevin and Lana Dale, you touched on that. Welcome, Luna. The idea of not putting, like, I guess, lines of demarcation in I guess your in your life, or as you make progress, because sometimes, and this is so important, because sometimes what we find people saying is, well, I want to do that, but I'm going to wait for next year to do it. I'll do it in the new year, when you could really start making progress now to get there. So, yes, we're about to enter a new year, and you have to start thinking, okay, is there anything I want to be doing differently? But it doesn't mean that if you're working on something in September, or you want to do something, that you can't start just going at it back then. You don't have to wait until the new year. So I'm really glad that you highlighted that point. Now, I want to go a little bit deeper into, and we're all Caribbean folks. So I want to kind of look at others like ourselves. Think about maybe your 15-year-old self, home in the Caribbean, wherever, and sometimes I know for me, and I could just kind of give my story. Growing up, I kind of was in and out of different circles, and depending on the circle that I'm in, I start. It's like I transformed into whatever was happening, or whatever the mindset was of the people in that particular circle. So if I'm in a circle and we're talking about one thing, I find myself becoming that idea that was being discussed in that circle. So, like, if we're talking about partying, everybody's talking about partying and whatever. I don't party, but then I try to think about the one time I went to party like 10 years ago and try to join and become part of that. Or if you're talking about business and success and growth, and no, I find myself being that person, so I realize that depending on the circle that you're in, that could really determine who you become. And it takes someone with a really strong mind to think different, especially when everyone around you is thinking in a particular way. So what I wanted to just kind of discuss now is what kind of mindset do you think Caribbean folks that we need to have if we want to dominate 2023? Let's touch on that. So, Tahira, do you want to start again, or?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So, thinking about that mindset. So, in the Caribbean, we have a tendency to like to be in people's business. I think that is just it can be an endearing thing to an extent. because I think that it comes from a good place, but it can be very distracting. So I think there is this piece, there is an element of really just focusing on what you need to do. Worry less about what the other person is doing. They are on their own unique journey. Focus on yourself, right? I also feel that there is that mindset of learning, right? There is this perspective, a widely researched perspective, that you know people think that, okay, I can have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset, and the growth mindset is real. We can learn. Our brain has the capacity to learn new things every single day. Anytime we put effort, we put thought, intentionality, and behaviors that we want to see turn into fruitful things, we can do it. So having a growth mindset that I can learn, I can do things. I may not be able to do it just yet, but if I invest a little time in learning, or maybe engaging with a mentor or something, that I can get there, or I can take steps to get there.
Right.
One more thing about the mindset. I think we have this thing about like learned helplessness, like waiting for people to give us a thing. We have to go out and learn how to fish ourselves. We all have talents. We all have skills. We are not, stupid people. We are strong. We are intelligent, and we are resourceful. We have the ability to go out there and fish for ourselves and create new opportunities for sustainability.
That's bars.
I see it in here, like all kind of thing, Kimron. You seen it here, the other day I buy a boots from a dog because it looks like suspenders, because every time I bring her outside, the shoes getting lost, right? And it literally looks like pantyhose, and it just goes across her back, and the shoe it stays on. Okay, somebody thought about that. That was a problem they fixed, and they got my $50. Okay,
right, gotcha.
It ain't come yet, but it's in the mix. It's coming from the States, but still, it's still like it is a problem. They saw a problem, and they've created a product to fix it. That's innovation. That's you thinking outside the box. That's being resourceful, and we have that, and we have to harness that.
Absolutely. And I mean, that resourcefulness is wow. That's a bar right there. Kevin, talk to me.
I mean, I think it's really simple. Sometimes we can overthink these things. So for me, it's very simple. I normally look at it I try to do things in quadrants, so I look at it in 4. So first thing is work with what you already have, right? A lot of people, when they're starting something, they think about, the finish and how grand it should look. But if you think about Nike, you think about Amazon, all these businesses were started in a warehouse, in a back room somewhere, right? So work with what you have, but you get started, and it's a term we use a lot in IT, you iterate, right? Meaning that you build on that, you build on that, you build on that. If you look at your phone, whether you have a Apple phone or a Samsung product, you notice like every day one of your apps needs to update, or every 2 weeks Apple pushes out a software update. That's them being iterative and making incremental changes. Now, if they go to wait 4 or 5, if they go to wait till some of these changes are at the end, it'll take 4 or 5 years. And by that time, somebody has already surpassed them, right? Mm-hmm. So work with what you have, start where you are, and then just keep improving on that. 2, as Shahira said, be innovative, right? So think outside the box a little when it comes to whether it's your marketing, your approach to certain things. Everybody does it a certain way. That doesn't need to be your answer, right? So my thing is I like to read a lot on other entrepreneurs. I take some of the things that I feel relate to me or gravitate to me, and it fits into my skill set and what I like, because some people worship people blindly, but these people also have flaws, right? So a lot of people speak of Steve Jobs highly, but as an individual, he was a horrible person. As a strategist, he had a great mind. So I don't want that aspect of him, but there's some things from a strategy aspect that I can look at and be like, this is something interesting that I could try in my business, right? And then the one that is very tricky, but I think will help a lot of people in 2023 is what we're doing now, right? Collaboration. Be collaborative. Find other people who have similar businesses, similar passions, or there's an opportunity to cross sell. There's an opportunity to support each other. And then it could be this where you jump on a podcast together. It could be where you host an event or you have a promotion with something that benefits that person and vice versa. But there are a lot of opportunities to collaborate. And what it allows you to do is to tap into markets that you didn't have access to before because some of these people have never heard about you. So just from doing that, now you have new customers or now you have new eyes and then somebody else tells somebody else about you, right? And then number 4, which we've all touched on is, just keep learning. So whatever your craft is, whether, is you're looking at improving yourself, becoming a better father, better husband, better business person, there is a lot of resources out there. You don't have to take everything word for word, but the idea is keep learning. And then whatever you think can apply to you, you take that and you work with that. And you, again, incremental. You don't have to make wholesale changes. Just keep working and improving bit by bit.
Yeah, man, the compound effect.
Mm-hmm.
So, Dale, talk to me.
So for me, what I would say to the young people in the Caribbean, I remember at age 12, I was going to school just past common entrance there, about entering Form 1 or going to Form 2, somewhere there. And I find I wanted a job. So I started to hustle from age 12. Yeah. And I hustled my way right through secondary school. All right. So you have to figure out what you want from life and go for it. As Kevin said, you set those goals, figure out where you're at. If you're at stage 1, how am I going to get to stage 2? If you're already at stage 2, then how I'm going to get to stage 3 and 4. Figure out wherever you are, right? And find that purpose, whatever it is you want to achieve, wherever you think you want to see yourself. Set those, I suppose, long-term or short-term goals, right? Don't think about the end, because there's a process, or there's processes that you need to go through to get to the end. You don't just wake up and say you want to be a medical doctor. You got to start from preschool. That's where it starts, actually, from preschool. So in terms of your mindset, you have to figure out where you're at, where you want to go, how you're going to accomplish that, and set up the tone or the pace. Of course, there would be challenges. There would be obstacles. Nothing is going to come easy to you. It's not going to be handed to you. Mm-hmm. But you have to have that right mindset. It's like no matter what. So you have to have that strategy where okay, what's your next 5 moves? So we're playing chess, not checkers. Yeah? And so that is what I would say to the young people. Figure out where you at. Understand the space around you that you're working with, right? And I believe I guess I would narrow it home, because I suppose that's where my navel string is, Grenada. I believe that we have so much potential, that if we really start to forget and glorifying alcohol, that's a problem for me. Glorifying alcohol, just change mindset. It's not all about partying and everything on the weekend and drinking. We glorify alcohol and we call ourselves Rum Nation. What is that? But if we really change our mindset and think of it more positively, where do you want to see yourself? Okay, we're about to end this year. Where do you want to see yourself by March? By April? By May? So you set those long-term goals. You want to start a course? When is that course starting? When is the application deadline? Right? And there are free courses online. We spend our time online doing a lot of crazy stuff. So jump in on one of those free courses and empower the mind. And as Tyria said, at any given point, the mind can take in that information. You don't ever stop learning. So you have to feed the mind. So you have to feed your mind I suppose, positive thoughts, positive results, and then you probably get to where you need to go. So that's my suggestion. I mean, at 12, 15-year-old, I think I know what I wanted to be, but I had obstacles, you know. But
Right.
you just had to
Right.
keep pushing. You just had to keep pushing. So keep pushing. Align yourself with people who are, and I'm using some better than you very loosely. Align yourself with persons who can push you further. Align yourself with persons who will tell you the truth, right? If they see you messing up, they will pull you up, and be open to criticism, constructive criticism. Because sometimes when we hear things from our friends or family members, we don't always like it. But if we do some introspection and we say, hey, mommy or daddy or Tom, the boys on the block are right, let me take a different turn. So that you have to do a lot of introspection and decide where you want to go. Because if you don't do it, nobody's going to do it for you. Yeah, so that's what I would say, Kimron.
No, that's great, because some of the things that you touched on there, and I mean, I know Kevin could relate to that. That growing up, in secondary school, wherever, and you having that hustler mentality. That's what we do. Like my boy brightest I say, can't stop the hustler vision. Right? But the other thing that you touched on, and I think everyone touched on it, is the idea that, okay, you need to begin where you are. You need to begin where you are, but you also need to know exactly where you're going. You need to have the end in mind, because if you don't know where you're going, but you just start, then really and truly you could end up anywhere. So understanding what you want to accomplish, but really starting where you are is so important. And you kind of touched on it a little bit, Dale, when you said, associating with people that can push you, finding yourself in circles. In I think Kevin called it growth circles on our when we did our episode. I'm not sure that's exactly what you said, but you did, but you mentioned, finding yourselves in those circles where you're discussing like growth and so. But I want to kind of expound on that, and I would want you all to just jump in on that. I'm not going to ask anybody in any particular order, but if you can just jump in on that part real quick, because and I think I said it when I was prefacing the question a little bit, that there is that young person, for example, who knows, boy, I want to do more, I want to be more, but all they hearing is you can't do this, or it's like the more they try to dream big, the people around them, and sometimes it's the parents, sometimes it's the people that love them, that just saying, they're trying to put their fears and their limitations onto, let's say, their kids or the people around them. So you want to accomplish something, and I went through it. I experienced it. I remember when I was going to study my first degree, and hearing, from someone like, you're going to school again? I'm like, again? I'm just getting started. Like, what are you talking about? So how do we deal with when we are in those situations where all we're hearing around us is, you can't do this, or you're dreaming too big, or you're in circles where the discussions is about people, about like they'll say maybe partying, what we're drinking tonight, like that. Like, how do you get out of this type of situation? I know it's a kind of tricky question, but do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I do. When we think about every person here that you can think about who, has achieved some sort of successful milestone, they always have a backstory. And 99% of the times that backstory is fraught with adversity, whether it is at the beginning of their life or in the middle, or, the rejection. Look at Jack Ma. Like, Jack Ma is a classic example of someone who faced adversity from the get-go. And everybody knows Jack Ma now. Everybody knows who Jack Ma is. Right? So if they can do it, It means that you can, because they're not unicorns.
Right.
And we are given the same amount of time each day. Use your time wisely.
Correct. Yeah. And I think that that's important, because sometimes you have to know that somebody else did it. Somebody else who came from a similar situation like you did it. So trying to understand, okay, how did that person do it? And you know,
study them.
Yeah.
Study them. Understand their story. See what it is that they did that you are able to replicate, because they have proven that they can. So clearly they've done a few things well, right, that has brought them to that place. Study them. Use them as case studies. Implement some of the things that they've done. And I will also say this. There are two absolute truths in life: death and taxes. That's it. Everything else has multiple truths. So when you see somebody tell you that you may or may not, you may not be able to do something, your response to them is maybe, because you can go either way. You get to pick which way you go. You can go to the left or you can go to the right. You can accomplish it or you cannot.
Correct.
Let them know maybe.
Correct. No, thank you for saying that. I think that's a pretty great way to sum that up there. So thank you for that. And to wrap up, I want to go a little bit contrarian, a little bit, right? You know, there's and I'm looking at the Caribbean again. And growing up, people always give all kind of advice. You should do this. You should do that. You know, what is one thing that you will encourage people to pay less attention to in 2023? You know, as we're about to enter the new year. You know what I mean? We talk about, okay, what we should be doing, but I believe that there are many instances where there are things that we should not be doing. But what would you say is you know, one thing that we should pay less attention to as we enter the new year? You can start with Tahira.
Ooh, that's a hard one, eh?
Yeah, I know. It's a tricky one.
Less of what people should be doing. You know, I think focusing less about what other people are doing. And it sounds like it's a bit of a juxtaposition, because you also want to emulate, right?
Yeah.
The people who are doing things. But what I have noticed is that when I go inward and I focus on myself, I unlock creativity, I solve problems, and I'm able to come out on the other side. And the good news about human beings is that we can identify times in our lives when we have made good decisions and it's worked to our benefit. So we can always go back to those times, those places, those instances when we've made good decisions and say, well, hey, you know, I was able to make a good decision here. So clearly I have the capacity to continue making the decisions that will help me along my way to this preferred future that I see for myself. What did I do? What did I do then? What can I do? What are some of the lessons that I've done that I can take from that experience and translate it into what I'm doing now? Focus on yourself.
Yes. I agree. I agree with you. And I know, and for example, when you just started, you said, you know, kind of paying less to people, and you spoke about the juxtaposition there, because you also want to emulate, look at sometimes what people are doing, and because if somebody has done something. But I think what the key thing here is, if there's a distinction, because you're looking at somebody who would have done something, who would have accomplished something that you want to accomplish, that you want to do, right? And you're looking at, okay, what is their backstory, like we said, what are the steps that they took, and you using that as a bit of a motivation. And but then there's also the other side of it, where, you know, we're looking at people and we're comparing ourselves, and that some of that happen a lot on social media. We get caught up with the whole social media hype. The whole people create personas, and so we look at it and we compare our life, and we feel worthless and miserable, because we feel like, oh, me and that person grew up in the same place. but that, oh, me and that person went to school together and they're doing so well, and look at me and look at my life, and you're comparing yourself, and you start almost like self-rejecting. And so I think that's what the distinction is. And I think that last part is the part that we need to really stay away from. If you're gonna look at somebody, it should be to look to see, okay, what have they done, that something that you would want to do, and how did they do it, and what steps can you take? How can you be motivated by what they did to really accomplish what you want to accomplish in your life? So, Kevin, talk to me. What would you say is something that we should pay less attention to in 2023?
I'll just tweak the wording of your question, but what I want to get across is we have to unlearn some of the mindset that was forced upon us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of the people we grew up with, our parents, older siblings, relatives, they pushed, a scarcity mindset, a poverty mindset, because that's all they were aware of. And so to succeed, sometimes we have to go and unlearn these behaviors and these mindsets, right? And again, it ties back into my earlier point of learning, but unlearning is even harder because these are habits that we've basically ingrained and we do it subconsciously. So
Bars.
we find ourselves, saying we can't do it, not because we can't, but that's all we've heard, like you mentioned, or that's what we've always heard other people say. So the more we figure out some of our fears and then find out ways that we can unlearn these things or tackle ways that we can either, make incremental improvement in those areas, then we start seeing a lot of good things happening for our lives, because doubt kills a lot of dreams before people actually even get a chance to fail, because, they're about to start and they're like, no, I can't do this. But, if you start unlearning that mindset and you're willing to give it a shot, you just never know where you're going to end up.
Okay, thank you. Listen, guys, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for dropping those awesome gems, those awesome bars with us. This is the last day of the year, and I appreciate each and every one of you for coming and dropping bars before, and for agreeing to come on to have this discussion, because I think that is important as we're about to enter a new year. That we put good vibes out there, positive vibes out there, and encourage people as much as possible. So thank you guys so much for coming on. The very last episode of Dropping Bars for the year. I appreciate every one of you. I appreciate everyone who came on before, and to all the listeners of Dropping Bars, thank you for riding with me over the last 4 months, and I can tell you that we're gonna keep going hard in 2023. I have some amazing things planned, and I can't wait to share it with you. Content is gonna be on point, right? So thank you everyone for tuning in to another episode of Dropping Bars, and I will see you on Tuesday for the next episode and the first episode of the year. Thank you everyone, and have a great 2023. And thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you. Take good care, folks. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, everyone.